Hey guys! Tonight, we begin with something a little less academic. And a lot more herbal. A slow walk through the foggy, fragrant world of medieval intoxication. Yes, they did it. And yes, it got strange. Before we settle in, feel free to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what happens here. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from. And what time it is for you right now. It's always comforting to see how far these quiet stories travel. Now, dim the lights. Let the room soften. Maybe turn on a fan for that gentle background hum. And let's ease into tonight together. It's tempting to imagine the Middle Ages as a grim procession of mud, monks, plagues, and boiled vegetables. A world without joy. Without curiosity. Without relief. But under all that woe and despair were people. Regular people. Tired people. People who hurt. People who occasionally looked at a strange root and thought, well, let's see what happens if I drink this with warm wine. And honestly, who could blame them? There was no electricity. No coffee. No antidepressants. Entertainment included watching a candle burn. Or wondering how long your neighbor could keep dancing. Before collapsing from ergot poisoning. So if someone told you there was a mushroom that made you forget the feudal system for a few hours, you'd probably chew it too. Contrary to modern assumptions, the idea of altering the mind was not rare in medieval life. It was ordinary. It just wasn't called getting high. There were no medieval stoners hiding behind haystacks. No secret slang. No culture built around rebellion. Instead, altered states were wrapped in polite language. Visionary experiences. Divine inspiration. Pain relief. Spiritual cleansing. And sometimes, something went wrong. Doctors used herbs. Monks grew them. Midwives prepared them. And nearly everyone encountered mind-altering substances. Through medicine, ritual, or accidentally eating bread that had absolutely no business being eaten. The medieval intoxicant menu was surprisingly broad. Yes, there was ale, and plenty of it. But there were also roots that screamed. Flowers that blurred vision. Seeds that triggered prophetic dreams. And ointments that convinced people they were flying naked through the night sky. With Satan's catering staff. Getting high wasn't recreational. It was functional. It soothed pain. It invited sleep. It softened fear. And occasionally, it ruined everything. In the medieval world, you didn't need a shady alley. Or a velvet rope to get your hands on mind-altering substances. You needed a garden. A mortar and pestle. And a relaxed attitude toward dosage. Nature was the dealer. And she was not gentle. Europe overflowed with plants and fungi that could cure your headache. Or convince you that you had married a tree. The line between medicine and mystical experience was not clearly marked. It was interpreted artistically. Physicians, monks, midwives, and wandering herbalists all experimented with plants. Some had training. Some had confidence. Some had neither. If you wanted something to knock you out, calm your nerves, or make you see God in your soup, they had options. Henbane was one of them. Henbane was medieval Russian roulette. Prepared carefully, it dulled pain and invited sleep. Prepared poorly, it sent people running through forests, shouting at furniture, and having emotional conversations with vegetables. It interfered with the brain in ways no one understood. Vision blurred. Time stretched. Reality loosened. And because medieval brains lived in darkness and silence, even small changes felt enormous. Henbane was smoked. Brewed into tea. mixed with fat and smeared on the skin. It was especially popular among people who disliked their thoughts remaining in a straight line. Mandrake was worse. Mandrake looked like a tiny, twisted human, which immediately caused problems. People believed it screamed when pulled from the ground so loudly it could kill. This did not stop anyone. Instead, they tied it to dogs. The dog pulled. The human waited far away. The dog usually died. Medieval problem-solving was direct. Mandrake could sedate. It could anesthetize. It could induce dreams so vivid they felt like prophecy. Or it could end your story entirely. Belladonna completed the trio. Deadly nightshade. Women used it to dilate pupils because wide eyes were beautiful. Side effects included blurred vision, sensitivity to light, and occasionally meeting God early. Physicians used it for pain, for sleep, for surgeries that absolutely should not have been happening. It worked. Until it didn't. These herbs were mixed together into oils, salves, and infamous flying ointments. Not eaten. Absorbed. Applied to areas where the body absorbed chemicals quickly. This is where the broomstick enters the story. Not as transportation, but as a delivery system. Hallucinations followed quickly. People felt weightless. They flew. They visited feasts. They met figures their culture had prepared them to see. And inquisitors, lacking chemistry, filled in the rest. Meanwhile, in the Islamic world, things were calmer. Hashish was eaten. Documented. Discussed. Mixed with honey. Used for contemplation. Banned occasionally. Ignored consistently. A familiar pattern. Incense-filled churches. Frankincense and myrrh drifted through stone halls. In poorly ventilated spaces. During fasting. During long chants. Minds softened. Visions occurred. And everyone credited heaven. Alcohol remained constant. Small beer for children. Stronger ale for adults. Wine mixed with herbs. Sometimes medicinal. Sometimes experimental. Monks brewed carefully. And enthusiastically. Pain was constant. Fear was constant. Altered states offered relief. Not escape. Relief. Now. You don't need to remember any of this. Let the details blur. The medieval night was long. Dark. Quiet. Sleep came slowly. And so will yours. Breath in. Breath out. The medieval night settled in early. Once the sun dipped behind the hills or vanished behind city walls, darkness arrived fully formed. No streetlights. No glowing windows. Just shadows, breath, and the quiet sounds of wood contracting as it cooled. People didn't stay awake because they wanted to. They stayed awake because pain had opinions. A sore tooth could keep you conscious until dawn. An aching joint. A fever. The memory of something unsettling you'd eaten earlier. So when someone offered a drink, a salve, or a smoke that softened the edges of awareness, it wasn't rebellion. It was relief. And relief mattered. Sleep in the medieval world wasn't one long, uninterrupted stretch the way we imagine today. It came in layers. First sleep. Waking. Second sleep. Between those phases, people prayed. They talked. They stared into darkness and thought about their lives. And sometimes, they took something. A sip of spiced wine. A bit of poppy syrup. A herb burned low in a clay bowl. Not enough to disappear. Just enough to feel held. Poppies deserve a quiet mention here. Opium poppies were known long before the Middle Ages, carried across cultures and centuries like a whispered secret. Their sap dulled pain, encouraged sleep, smoothed suffering into something manageable. Midwives used it. Physicians used it. Travelers carried it. It wasn't romanticized. It was practical. A few drops in wine before a painful procedure. A syrup for someone coughing through the night. A way to let the body rest when the world refused to. Too much, of course, could be deadly. But moderation was a hope, not a rule. The medieval body lived closer to nature, and nature did not label its poisons. Plants didn't come with warnings. They came with stories. Someone once tried this and survived. Someone else did not. That was the data. Sometimes intoxication arrived by accident. Grain stored too long could grow mold. Mold could turn bread into something else. Ergot fungus infected rye and caused convulsions, hallucinations, burning sensations in the limbs, and vivid visions. Entire villages experienced mass episodes. People danced, screamed, prayed. They thought it was divine punishment. Or spiritual awakening. They called it St. Anthony's fire. No one called it poisoning. Imagine eating bread and slowly losing control of your body. Your hands feel hot. Your thoughts stretch thin. Shapes move. And you assume God is speaking. Context matters. Even music could alter the mind. Medieval instruments weren't tuned to modern scales. Their drones and repetitive rhythms worked on the nervous system in subtle ways. Add incense. Add fasting. Add exhaustion. The mind opens. Mystics sought this. Not intoxication for escape. But for closeness. Julian of Norwich. Hildegard of Bingen. Women who fasted, prayed, inhaled incense, and experienced visions so vivid they wrote them down carefully. Modern readers argue about illness. About ergot. About neurological conditions. Medieval listeners didn't argue. They listened. Not everyone who altered their mind was praised. Some were feared. Village healers. Wise women. People who knew which plants did what. Knowledge without Latin was suspicious. Especially if it worked. Especially if it involved ointments, roots, and long nights alone. The church tolerated pain relief. It tolerated sleep. But joy, pleasure, and uncontrolled visions, those raised eyebrows. A substance that soothed a wound was acceptable. A substance that made you laugh at nothing was concerning. Laughter meant looseness. Looseness led to questions. Questions led to trouble. So intoxication lived in a strange space. Accepted. Feared. Needed. Hidden. Like many things in medieval life. Imagine a winter night. A small room. A hearth burning low. Someone stirs a drink slowly. Herbs floating on the surface. They drink. They sit. The world does not disappear. But it softens. The ache in their knees fades into the background. The fear of tomorrow quiets. And for a while. That is enough. Time moved differently then. No clocks ticking loudly. No alarms. The altered mind had room to wander. Dreams bled into waking. Waking felt dreamlike. Especially in candlelight. Some people chased visions intentionally. Others stumbled into them. But no one thought of it as partying. It was survival with side effects. And eventually, sleep came. Not deep. Not silent. But real. And when morning arrived, the memory of the night felt distant. Like a dream. You don't need to hold on to these details. Let them drift. Let the medieval world fade into shadow. The herbs. The smoke. The quiet experimentation of tired people in dark rooms. The night continues without urgency. No bells. No announcements. Just the slow, patient passing of time. Somewhere, long ago, a candle burned lower than expected. The flame bent. Then steadied. People learned early not to rush sleep. It came when it wished. So they waited. The medieval body was familiar with discomfort. Cold floors. Hard benches. Air that carried smoke and dampness. And yet, when the mind softened, even these things became distant. A warm drink in the stomach. A dulling of sharp edges. Not joy. Just less weight. There were nights when nothing was taken at all. No herbs. No wine. Just exhaustion. And yet the mind still wandered. Because when the world goes quiet, thoughts become louder. People believed dreams mattered. Not as symbols to be decoded later. But as messages delivered in real time. Dreams could warn. Dreams could comfort. And substances, when they entered the body, didn't feel like distortions. They felt like doors. Imagine lying on a straw mattress. The ceiling beams barely visible. Smoke from the hearth still clinging to the air. Your body heavy. Your thoughts slow. The sense that you are both here. And not entirely here. Some medieval writers described this state carefully. They didn't say hi. They said lifted. Or transported. Or simply touched. Touched by God. Touched by sleep. Touched by something unnamed. Alcohol, when it was strong, was treated with caution. Drunkenness was frowned upon publicly. But quietly understood. A man who drank too much after losing a child wasn't condemned. He was watched. Someone made sure he got home. Community mattered. Alehouses were not wild places. They were warm ones. Low light. Slow conversations. People drank to talk. To listen. To forget pain without erasing themselves. The strongest brews were often spiced. Not for flavor alone. Spices masked bitterness. And sometimes, effects. Nutmeg. Clove. Cinnamon. In large amounts, nutmeg could cause hallucinations. This wasn't unknown. It was simply not discussed loudly. Apothecaries kept their shelves organized by experience, not science. This one calms. This one numbs. This one, be careful. Labels were stories. People learned their limits through neighbors. Through whispers. Through watching someone else make a mistake. Not every altered state was pleasant. There were bad nights. Nights of fear. Nights of confusion. Someone waking convinced they were being watched. Someone convinced they were no longer themselves. These experiences were interpreted spiritually. If it felt peaceful, it was grace. If it felt terrifying, it was sin. No middle ground. And yet, the body was simply responding to chemistry. But no one needed to know that. As the hours passed, the village slept unevenly. Dogs shifted. Someone coughed. A cart creaked in the distance. Life never fully stopped. If you woke during the night, you didn't panic. You accepted it. You prayed. Or thought. Or stared. And if sleep returned with images, you let it. Somewhere in Europe, a monk stirred herbs into warm wine, not to escape, but to endure another night of illness. Somewhere else, a woman rubbed a salve into aching joints, not knowing it carried her closer to dreams than she expected. Somewhere else, nothing happened at all. And that was normal. The medieval world didn't chase altered states. It lived beside them. Like weather. You don't need to remember any of this. Let it wash past you. Like a story told quietly in another room. Breathing slows. Thoughts loosen. History grows soft. And the night remains. The quiet doesn't break. It deepens. Some hours pass without names. In the medieval night, time wasn't measured precisely. It was felt. By the cooling of the fire. By the stiffness in the joints. By the way the mind drifted farther from the day. Altered states didn't always come from substances. Hunger could do it. Fasting could do it. Many people went to bed with empty stomachs, not by choice, but by circumstance. Hunger thinned the barrier between waking and dreaming. Voices sounded closer. Memories felt sharper. Monks fasted intentionally. Not because it was pleasant. But because it opened something. They wrote about light. About warmth without heat. About a floating sensation. Modern readers see deprivation. They saw meaning. Combine fasting with incense. With chanting. With long hours awake. And the mind entered unfamiliar territory. No herbs required. But herbs were still there. Waiting. Drying in bundles. Used sparingly. There was no concept of tolerance. No idea of building resistance. Each experience was treated as new. Unpredictable. People did not chase intensity. They feared it. Mildness was preferred. Enough to take the edge off. Not enough to lose oneself. Those who crossed that line became stories. Warnings. Remember what happened to him. Don't take as much as she did. Children learned early what not to touch. Bright berries. Certain leaves. But mistakes happened. And when they did, the entire household noticed. Nighttime was when effects felt strongest. Darkness amplified sensation. Candlelight made shadows move. Silence made thoughts louder. Someone lying awake might feel their body grow strangely light. Or heavy. Or distant. And they wouldn't name it. They would accept it. Dreams merged into waking. A sound outside became part of a vision. A memory became a presence. In the morning, it was discussed carefully. Did you sleep? Yes. That was enough. There were no hangovers as we know them. There was simply fatigue. And work continued. The medieval body was resilient. Not because life was easier. Because it had to be. As the night wears on, even history itself seems to slow. Events blur. Dates dissolve. What remains are sensations. Warmth. Darkness. Breath. If you imagine anything now, keep it simple. A fire dimming. A cup empty. A body resting. The hours stretch gently. No one is watching the clock. There may not even be one. At some point in the night, the body gives up trying to stay alert. Not suddenly. Gradually. Muscles loosen without permission. Breath deepens on its own. This happened then, just as it happens now. In medieval homes, sleep was rarely silent. Someone turned. Someone sighed. Wood shifted. These sounds were comforting. Proof that life continued. If a dream arrived with strange colors or impossible movement, it wasn't questioned. Dreams had always been strange. And tonight, perhaps because of a warm drink or incense smoke still clinging to the air, the dream felt heavier. More present. A field that shimmered. A voice without a face. The sense of floating without fear. Not joy. Not terror. Just distance. People believe such dreams carried weight. They didn't rush to interpret them. They let them settle. Like sediment in water. Some dreams were never spoken aloud. Not because they were sinful. Because words might damage them. The medieval world understood something simple. Not everything experienced needs explanation. As the night moves deeper, even memory loosens its grip. Details fall away. What remains is mood. Atmosphere. Imagine the faint smell of herbs drying somewhere nearby. They are not being used now. They are just there. Like possibilities resting. The body knows when it has had enough. Enough sensation. Enough thought. It begins to turn inward. Sleep becomes thicker. Thoughts slow into fragments. Images arrive without narrative. This is where the old stories stop making sense. And that is fine. You don't need to hold on to anything. Not the history. Not the imagery. Let it all dim. The medieval night was long. But it always ended. And until it did, people rested where they could. As you are doing now. Time loosens its shape. Minutes no longer stack neatly. They blur, overlap, dissolve. This is how night is meant to feel. Somewhere, long ago, a monastery bell rang once. Not to hurry anyone. Just to mark that the world was still turning. No one counted how long they slept. They trusted the body to know. In the medieval mind, sleep was not a switch. It was a slow crossing. Like walking into mist. At the edge of that mist, thoughts soften. Language begins to lose importance. Images take over. A corridor lit by firelight. A table with no one sitting at it. A window opening onto darkness. None of it needs meaning. The mind is not trying to solve anything now. It is resting in motion. If there was intoxication earlier, herbs, wine, smoke, it has faded into something gentler. Not stimulation. Afterglow. The body holds warmth. The kind that feels safe. In the Middle Ages, people believed sleep repaired the soul. Not metaphorically. Literally. They imagined it like mending cloth. Slow stitches made in the dark. You don't feel the work happening. But it is. Breathing becomes almost silent. The chest rises, falls. No effort. The outside world is very far away now. Even the idea of morning feels distant. And that is good. Nothing is waiting for you here. No instruction. No expectation. Just stillness. If a dream begins, let it take shape without resistance. If not, drift in the quiet space beneath thought. Both are rest. The night does not ask for awareness. Only surrender. And surrender, tonight, is easy. There is nowhere else to be. The dark does not demand anything from you. It simply exists. Somewhere, far back in time, a candle burns low. The wick bends. The flame steadies itself, then shrinks. No one rushes to save it. Light was never meant to last all night. Medieval people understood darkness as a companion, not an enemy. It arrived every evening, patient and unavoidable. You didn't fight it. You adjusted. A body settles differently when it knows morning will come whether it worries or not. There is a quiet confidence in that. Long before clocks divided the night into useful pieces, sleep came in waves. First sleep. Then waking. Then sleep again. Between them, a soft, drifting hour where thoughts wandered freely. Not dreams. Not waking. Something in between. This was the hour of strange clarity. The hour when a mind could drift without effort. Someone might sit up briefly. Sip water. Stare into nothing. Not anxious. Just present. In those moments, sensations felt sharper. The weight of a blanket. The temperature of air on skin. The distant creak of wood. Everything slowed. If a lingering warmth remained in the body from wine, herbs, or incense, it wasn't alarming. It was familiar. Nothing was happening. And that was enough. Medieval life was hard in daylight. Night was a mercy. You didn't have to be useful at night. You didn't have to produce or explain. You were allowed to exist quietly. That permission still applies. Thoughts may float up. Random ones. A memory with no context. A color. A place that never existed. Let them pass. They are not messages. They are just echoes. Breathing deepens again. The body remembers how to rest. Somewhere in the distance, a dog shifts. A bird stirs in sleep. Even animals dream then. The world keeps breathing without your help. You don't need to follow the story anymore. There is no narrative now. Only rhythm. In. Out. Slow. If consciousness fades, let it. If it returns briefly, that's fine too. This space has no rules. Nothing needs to be finished. The night is doing the work for you. The quiet deepens. Not suddenly. Not completely. Just enough that everything feels padded, softened, held. In a medieval house, the fire has gone to embers now. No flames. Only a faint glow, like a memory of warmth. No one stirs. Even worries, if they were there earlier, have grown tired. They loosen their grip. They slip away without saying goodbye. Sleep in the past was not rushed. It was allowed to arrive in layers. First, the body rested. Then the mind followed. Thoughts become less like sentences and more like textures. A heaviness behind the eyes. A gentle pressure in the limbs. Comfortable. Breathing slows further. Longer pauses. Deeper release. The medieval night was wide. Unmeasured. People did not fear losing time in it. They trusted that rest would give it back. If a faint image drifts through a road, a voice, a shape, it does not demand attention. It passes like smoke. Nothing is important now. Not memory. Not meaning. The body knows exactly what to do. It has done this for centuries. Somewhere in that ancient quiet, sleep folds around you. Not as an event. As a state. There is no edge to fall over. Just a gradual easing inward. You do not have to follow the breath. It follows itself. The night holds you without effort. And in this stillness, everything is already taken care of. The darkness becomes gentle. Not empty. Not heavy. Just quiet enough that nothing presses in. Long ago, people believed the night listened. Not in judgment. Not in curiosity. Simply present. If you whispered into the dark, it did not answer. It absorbed. That belief brought comfort. You could release thoughts without expecting them back. The body lies still now. Weight distributed evenly. No part holding tension on purpose. In medieval times, this was when the house truly slept. Not just the people. The walls settled. The beams relaxed. The roof stopped complaining to the wind. Even the night air slowed. Sleep was not an escape. It was a return. The mind drifts deeper, where images no longer form clearly. Only impressions remain. Soft. Distant. A sense of being indoors. A sense of warmth. A sense of safety. Nothing more specific is needed. If consciousness flickers, that's fine. Like a candle almost out. Still glowing. No effort required. No awareness to maintain. Centuries ago, someone lay exactly like this. Different name. Different life. Same stillness. They did not know the future. They did not need to. The night asked only one thing. Rest. And rest, now, is happening. Naturally. Breath flows. Muscles remain loose. Thoughts dissolve before they fully form. You do not have to follow them. They cannot pull you anywhere. The dark is stable. It does not move. And within it, you are already drifting. The stillness stretches on. Unbroken. Unconcerned with direction. There is a sense now of being suspended. Not falling. Not floating. Simply held. In the medieval night, this was the safest hour. No work expected. No visitors arriving. No bells calling anyone anywhere. The world had paused. The mind, relieved of responsibility, loosens further. Thought no longer arrives in words. Only sensations remain. Warmth. Heaviness. Ease. Breathing is slow enough now that it almost disappears. The body trusts the rhythm completely. Nothing needs watching. Nothing needs remembering. Even dreams hesitate here. They wait their turn. People once believed that angels moved most freely at this hour. Not because anyone was awake to see them. But because no one was interfering. Silence, then, was not emptiness. It was space. That same space exists now. You don't have to enter it. You're already inside. The night continues without markers. No beginning. No end. Just continuation. If awareness fades entirely, that's fine. If it lingers softly, that's fine too. There is no wrong depth. The body is doing ancient work. Repair. Balance. Return. Centuries ago, no one rushed this process. They trusted it. You can too. Everything outside this moment can wait. It always has. The quiet holds. The breath moves. The rest deepens. And nothing at all is required of you now. The night keeps going. Uninterrupted. Unconcerned. There is no longer a sense of direction. No forward. No back. Only depth. The body feels distant now. Not gone. Just quiet. Like a house after everyone has settled into sleep. In medieval times, this was when even the imagination rested. Stories stopped forming. Symbols stopped asking to be understood. There was only being. Breath slips in and out without sound. The chest rises so gently it barely registers. Thoughts do not arrive anymore. If they try, they dissolve before taking shape. The mind has stepped aside. And nothing rushed to replace it. This is where rest becomes complete. Not dramatic. Not heavy. Just full. Somewhere far away, so far it doesn't matter, morning exists. But it has no influence here. The night is still in charge. In old beliefs, this was the hour when the soul settled back into the body properly. After wandering. After dreaming. No one checked. No one measured. They trusted the feeling. That same trust is here now. Everything feels even. Balanced. There is no need to listen. No need to follow the voice. It can fade. It can stay. It makes no difference. The quiet remains either way. Sleep is no longer approaching. It has arrived. And in this place, there is nothing else. Only stillness. Only rest. Only the gentle, endless continuation of the night. The quiet does not break. It simply continues. There is a softness now that has no edges. No beginning. No place where it stops. If awareness flickers, it does so gently. Like a ripple that never becomes a wave. In the medieval world, this was the deepest part of night. When even prayers paused. When even worry slept. Nothing was expected of anyone here. Not thought. Not faith. Not effort. The body rests in its own weight. Supported. Undisturbed. Breathing is slow, steady, automatic. Each breath arrives exactly when needed. There is no reason to adjust anything. Everything is already aligned. The mind no longer reaches outward. It has folded inward, like hands resting in a lap. No images now. No voices. No questions. Just a sense of quiet continuity. The night feels wide, but not empty. Full, in a way that does not press. Centuries ago, someone lay in this same stillness. Different walls. Same darkness. They didn't know what the next day would bring. And for these hours, it didn't matter. That understanding still holds. Nothing from outside needs attention. Nothing from inside needs fixing. The body knows this place well. It returns here every night. The silence does not deepen anymore. It simply remains. And remaining is enough. There is nowhere else to go. Nothing else to hear. Nothing else to hold. Just rest. Just stillness. Just the night, continuing on its own. The night stays steady. Not moving forward. Not pulling back. Just holding its shape. Nothing interrupts this stretch of quiet. No sound sharp enough to matter. No thought loud enough to stay. If awareness drifts in and out, it does so gently. Like breathing. Like tide without waves. In the medieval world, this was when even dreams grew faint. They softened. They thinned. Not gone. Just distant. The body rests completely now. No signal asking for adjustment. No muscle requesting attention. Everything has settled where it belongs. Breath moves slowly, evenly. It does not rush. It does not hesitate. The mind is quiet without effort. Not focused. Not distracted. Simply still. This is the kind of rest people once trusted deeply. They believed it restored more than sleep. They believed it returned balance. No one hurried this moment, they let it pass on its own. The dark remains calm. Unchanging. There is no reason to listen closely anymore. Nothing is hiding in the silence. The silence itself is enough. Time no longer feels like something passing. It feels like something paused. The body continues its quiet work. Repairing. Settling. Letting go. You don't have to follow anything now. Not the voice. Not the breath. Everything continues without guidance. The night holds. The quiet remains. And rest, deep and uncomplicated, continues exactly as it should. The stillness remains. Unmoved. Unbothered. Nothing new enters the space. Nothing needs to leave. The body stays relaxed, heavy in a comfortable way. As if the ground itself is doing the holding. Breathing is so quiet now it almost feels imagined. But it continues. Faithfully. In the medieval night, this was when even time felt unsure of itself. Hours blurred together. No one tried to separate them. Sleep was not measured. It was trusted. Thought no longer forms shapes. It is only a faint warmth, fading. There is no tension anywhere to release. Everything has already let go. The dark is kind. It does not rush you forward. It does not pull you back. Nothing is expected. Nothing is missing. This is the place beneath effort. Beneath story. Beneath awareness. Centuries pass easily here. They do not announce themselves. The night continues to exist without needing attention. You can stay exactly as you are. No listening. No thinking. No doing. Just rest. Just quiet. Just the deep, uninterrupted continuation of sleep. The quiet holds. Not tightly. Not loosely. Just enough. Nothing shifts now. Not the air. Not the body. Not the night itself. Awareness has softened into something barely there. A faint glow with no shape. In the medieval world, no one tried to name this state. They didn't need to. It was familiar. The body is completely at ease. No signals. No questions. Breathing continues on its own, slow and deep, like it has all night. The dark does not feel deep anymore. It feels neutral. Safe. There is no anticipation. No memory. Only presence, thinning into rest. If there were dreams earlier, they have settled. If there were thoughts, they have dissolved. Everything unnecessary has fallen away. This is the part of night that simply exists. Time has no edges here. No direction. The body rests fully inside itself. Nothing needs watching. Nothing needs guiding. The night remains calm. The night does not change its mind. It remains as it is. There is no sense of waiting anymore. No sense of arrival. Only continuation. The body rests without awareness of resting. The mind no longer checks in. In medieval times, this was when the world felt furthest away. Not lost. Just distant enough to be harmless. Nothing reaches you here. Not sound. Not memory. Not responsibility. Breathing continues quietly, evenly, without instruction. Each breath complete. Each pause unremarkable. The dark feels smooth now. Like still water. No images rise. No thoughts form. Even the idea of sleep fades. This is rest without effort. Rest without narrative. Centuries ago, this same quiet filled rooms of stone and wood. It asked nothing then. It asks nothing now. There is no need to stay present. No need to drift further. Both are already happening. The night remains wide and gentle. Uninterrupted. Everything continues exactly as it should. And nothing at all is required of you. The quiet stays. It does not thin. It does not deepen. It simply remains. Nothing pulls at your attention anymore. Nothing asks to be noticed. The body is completely settled. Not heavy. Not light. Just there. Breathing continues with no rhythm to follow, no pace to correct. It knows what it's doing. In the medieval night, this was when even the idea of night faded. Darkness was no longer something you were inside. It was something you were part of. No boundaries. No edges. Thought has fully loosened its grip now. There is no commentary. No inner voice. The dark does not feel deep anymore. It feels neutral. Safe. There is no anticipation. No memory. Only presence, thinning into rest. If there were dreams earlier, they have settled. If there were thoughts, they have dissolved. Everything unnecessary has fallen away. This is the part of night that simply exists. Time has no edges here. No direction. The body rests fully inside itself. Nothing needs watching. Nothing needs guiding. The night remains calm. The night does not change its mind. It remains as it is. There is no sense of waiting anymore. No sense of arrival. Only continuation. The body rests without awareness of resting. The mind no longer checks in. In medieval times, this was when the world felt furthest away. Not lost. Just distant enough to be harmless. Nothing reaches you here. Not sound. Not memory. Not responsibility. Breathing continues quietly, evenly, without instruction. Each breath complete. Each pause unremarkable. The dark feels smooth now. Like still water. No images rise. No thoughts form. Even the idea of sleep fades. This is rest without effort. Rest without narrative. Centuries ago, this same quiet filled rooms of stone and wood. It asked nothing then. It asks nothing now. There is no need to stay present. No need to drift further. Both are already happening. The night remains wide and gentle. Uninterrupted. Everything continues exactly as it should. And nothing at all is required of you. The quiet stays. It does not thin. It does not deepen. It simply remains. Nothing pulls at your attention anymore. Nothing asks to be noticed. The body is completely settled. Not heavy. Not light. Just there. Breathing continues with no rhythm to follow, no pace to correct. It knows what it's doing. In the medieval night, this was when even the idea of night faded. Darkness was no longer something you were inside. It was something you were part of. No boundaries. No edges. Thought has fully loosened its grip now. There is no commentary. No inner voice. Only a sense of calm continuity. The world outside could change completely, and it would not reach you here. Sleep is not something happening to you anymore. It is something happening as you. Nothing needs to be held on to. Nothing needs to be released. That work is already done. The night moves forward without marking itself. Without sound. Without effort. This is the deepest rest. The kind that does not feel dramatic or profound. Just complete. Centuries ago, people trusted this silence with their bodies and their lives. They knew it would carry them through. It still does. No awareness required. No attention needed. Just the soft, endless continuation of rest. The stillness does not ask to be extended. It already is. Nothing changes now. And nothing needs to. The body rests so fully that even the idea of a body feels distant. There is no boundary to notice. No weight to adjust. Breathing continues somewhere, quietly, faithfully, without ever becoming a thought. In the medieval night, this was when people believed the world was most honest. No work. No performance. No roles. Just existence. The dark is no longer something around you. It is simply what is. There are no images left to drift through. No memories rising. No future forming. The mind has settled into silence without effort. Not empty. Complete. Time has stopped behaving like time. There is no before. No after. Only this continuous calm. Centuries pass unnoticed here. They always have. Nothing outside this rest can reach you. Nothing inside needs attention. The night remains steady, wide, and unbroken. Sleep continues without sensation. Without thought. Without awareness. And it will keep going. Quietly. Naturally. Exactly as it should. The quiet remains exactly as it is. Unchanging. Unconcerned. There is no edge to this moment. No signal that anything should shift. The body is resting so deeply now that it no longer registers rest. It simply exists. Breathing continues somewhere beneath awareness. Steady. Reliable. In the medieval night, this was when even the idea of self softened. People did not think of who they were. They simply were. No names. No roles. No stories. The dark feels smooth and even. Like a surface without texture. Nothing rises from it. Nothing sinks into it. Thought is completely quiet now. Not suppressed. Not controlled. Gone on its own. Time no longer stretches or compresses. It dissolves. Centuries pass here without weight. So do minutes. The night does not hold you tightly. It does not let go. It simply supports. There is no need to listen anymore. The voice can fade. The silence will remain. Everything that needed to settle has settled. Everything that needed to slow has slowed. Rest continues on its own. Deep. Uninterrupted. Effortless. The night stays the same. Not repeating. Not progressing. Simply existing. There is no sense of distance now. No near. No far. Only calm. The body rests beyond sensation. Beyond awareness. Beyond concern. Breathing happens without sound, without notice, without effort. It belongs to the night now. In the medieval world, no one feared this depth of quiet. They trusted it. They surrendered to it. They believed this was when the body remembered how to be whole. No thoughts arrive. No images form. Even silence feels unnecessary to describe. Time has fully released its grip. It no longer moves forward. It no longer waits. Centuries could pass here without weight. Moments could pass without meaning. The dark does not surround you. It is not separate. There is no inside or outside anymore. Everything that could soften has softened. Everything that could rest is resting. The night holds steady, doing nothing, asking nothing. Sleep continues in its purest form. No dreams. No awareness. No effort. And it will continue like this. Quiet. Unchanging. Undisturbed. For as long as it needs to. Nothing else needs to be said. Nothing else needs to happen. Just rest. Just stillness. Just the night, endlessly calm, carrying everything gently forward on its own. The quiet does not end. It doesn't need to. There is no marker here. No moment that says now something happens. The body remains settled so deeply that even comfort is no longer noticed. Not because it's gone. Because it's complete. Breathing continues somewhere far below awareness. Slow. Natural. Uninterrupted. In the medieval night, this was the state people trusted most. Not prayer. Not medicine. Not ritual. Rest. They believed this was when the body corrected itself. When the mind emptied itself. When whatever had been strained quietly returned to balance. No effort was involved. Effort would have broken it. Thought does not return now. There is nothing for it to attach to. Time has no texture here. No direction. No urgency. The night does not move forward. It simply remains present. Nothing reaches in from the outside. Nothing rises from within. If dreams appear, they do so far away. Muted. Soft. If they don't, that's fine too. This space does not require imagery. Centuries ago, someone slept like this beneath a roof of wood or stone. No awareness of history. No sense of future. Only rest. That same rest exists now. Unchanged. The night does not ask for permission to continue. It just does. Everything that needed to slow has slowed. Everything that needed to stop has stopped. There is no instruction left to follow. No awareness to maintain. Sleep carries on without needing to be noticed. Quiet. Stable. Endless. And it will keep doing so. Gently. Steadily. Without interruption. Until morning arrives on its own. Far away. Without urgency. Without demand. For now, there is only this. The night remains. It does not thin. It does not lift. It simply holds. Nothing arrives to interrupt it. Nothing fades that needs to be remembered. The body is resting without sensation now. Not numb. Just fully settled. Breathing continues far beneath awareness. So steady it blends into the dark itself. In the medieval world, this depth of sleep was considered a blessing. Not something earned. Something received. No one tried to stay aware here. Awareness had no purpose. Thought is completely absent. Not quiet. Not distant. Absent. Time no longer exists as movement. It has flattened into stillness. The night feels wide, but not empty. Full, without pressure. There is no inside. No outside. No separation at all. Everything that once felt distinct has softened into calm continuity. Sleep is no longer happening to you. It is simply happening. Nothing needs watching. Nothing needs holding. The silence does not deepen or fade. It stays exactly the same. Centuries ago, people trusted this state more than any cure. They believed it restored what life wore down. They were right. The night continues to do its quiet work. Repairing. Balancing. Letting go. The quiet does not shift. It has no reason to. There is no sense of time passing now. No sense of waiting. Only presence, softened until it no longer announces itself. The body remains deeply at rest. So deeply that even relaxation feels irrelevant. Breathing continues somewhere far away. Gentle. Automatic. In medieval nights, this was when the world felt furthest from effort. No labor. No judgment. No need to be anything at all. Even identity rested. There are no thoughts to follow. No images to hold. Silence exists without contrast. The dark feels smooth, even, endless. Not enclosing. Not surrounding. Simply there. Nothing approaches. Nothing retreats. This is rest without awareness. Sleep without edges. Centuries slip by unnoticed here. So do moments. The night does not require your attention. It continues on its own. Everything that needed to soften has softened. Everything that needed to quiet has quieted. No awareness is necessary now. No listening. No doing. The silence holds steady. The rest remains complete. And the night continues. Unshaken. Unbroken. Undemanding. Carrying everything gently forward. Without needing to be noticed at all. The stillness stays exactly where it is. It does not drift. It does not resolve. It does not conclude. Nothing new enters the space. Nothing leaves. The body remains at rest beyond sensation. Beyond comfort. Beyond awareness. Breathing continues quietly, faithfully, without ever becoming a thought. It belongs entirely to the night now. In the medieval world, no one questioned this depth. They did not analyze it. They did not narrate it. They trusted it. This was the part of night where even the idea of sleep disappeared. There was no label. No distinction. Only rest. The dark feels even. Balanced. Unmarked. There are no images. No dreams. No thoughts waiting their turn. Time has fully dissolved. Not slowed. Not paused. Gone. Centuries pass here without wait. So do seconds. Nothing presses in from the outside. Nothing stirs from within. The night does not hold tightly. It does not release. It supports. Everything that could settle has settled. Everything that could quiet has quieted. There is no effort anywhere. No attention required. No awareness to maintain. Sleep continues without sensation. Without narrative. Without interruption. The silence remains whole. And it will stay this way, steady, unchanging, undemanding. Until morning arrives on its own, far away, without urgency, without insistence. The night does not move. It does not hurry toward morning. It does not drift away. It simply remains. Nothing changes enough to notice. Nothing needs correction. The body rests so deeply that even the sense of having a body fades. There is no edge to feel. No weight to track. Breathing continues quietly, somewhere beyond attention. Steady. Reliable. Uninterrupted. In medieval times, this was when the world felt most distant and most safe at once. No tasks. No danger. No expectations. Even worry had learned to sleep by now. There are no thoughts left to arrive. No memories rising. No future forming. Silence no longer feels like silence. It feels like continuity. The dark is smooth and constant. Not surrounding. Not enclosing. Simply present. Time has lost all meaning here. There is no before. No after. Only this sustained calm. Centuries could pass unnoticed. So could moments. Nothing from the outside reaches in. Nothing from within needs attention. Sleep is no longer something happening to you. It is simply happening. No awareness is required. No listening. No effort. The night continues its quiet work. Balancing. Restoring. Settling. Without announcement. Everything that could soften has softened. Everything that could slow has slowed. There is nowhere else to go. Nothing else to do. Just this stillness. Just this rest. Just the night, continuing calmly on its own. The calm does not thin. It does not grow. It stays exactly the same. There is no sense of direction anymore. No forward. No back. Only quiet continuity. The body remains fully at rest, so completely that even the idea of rest has disappeared. Nothing needs adjustment. Nothing signals for attention. Breathing continues somewhere far beneath awareness. It has its own rhythm. It always has. In the medieval night, this was the hour people never named. They did not speak of it in the morning. They did not remember it. It belonged only to the night. No dreams announce themselves now. No images surface. If anything passes through, it leaves no trace. Silence is no longer something you notice. It is simply what exists. Time has no structure here. It does not stretch or compress. It dissolves. The dark feels even and steady. Not deep. Not shallow. Just present. Nothing arrives. Nothing departs. Sleep has moved beyond sensation. Beyond awareness. Beyond thought. Centuries ago, this same quiet filled small rooms and open halls. It asked nothing then. It asks nothing now. The night continues without instruction. Without effort. Without change. Everything that needed to release has released. Everything that needed to settle has settled. There is no need to listen anymore. No need to follow words. The stillness remains without them. Rest continues on its own. Gentle. Steady. Unbroken. Carrying everything softly forward. Without needing to be noticed at all. The quiet stays where it is. It has nowhere else to go. Nothing signals a shift. Nothing suggests an ending. The body remains settled beyond sensation. Not relaxed. Not tense. Simply at rest. Breathing continues, slow and unnoticed, like something ancient that never needed attention. In the medieval night, this was when even monks stopped counting hours. They let time dissolve. They trusted dawn to find them later. No thoughts appear now. No inner voice returns. Even the sense of listening has faded. The dark is even and constant. It does not press in. It does not open out. It just exists. Silence no longer contrasts with sound. It stands alone. Time has fully let go of its shape. Minutes do not pass. Hours do not gather. Centuries rest easily here. Nothing reaches inward. Nothing reaches outward. Sleep is no longer an experience. It is a condition. There is no awareness of being held. Only support. Everything that could slow has slowed completely. Everything that could quiet is quiet. The night continues its quiet work without instruction. Repairing. Balancing. Restoring. No guidance is needed. No effort remains. The stillness holds steady, unchanged, unbroken. And it will continue like this. Soft. Constant. Undisturbed. Until morning arrives on its own. Far away. Without urgency. Without demand. For now, there is only rest. And rest continues. The rest deepens without effort. Nothing stirs. Not the body. Not the mind. Not the night. Breath moves on its own, steady and uncounted. A slow tide that never asks permission. The world outside could turn, could change, could forget itself entirely. Here, nothing needs to follow. In medieval homes, this was the hour when fires collapsed into ash. When the last sound was a beam settling or a distant animal shifting in sleep. When even worry grew tired of holding its shape. Thought does not return. Memory does not knock. There is no edge to the silence now. It does not begin. It does not end. Sleep is no longer something happening. It has already happened. Awareness has thinned to nothing and left no trace behind. The body remembers how to mend itself. How to ease. How to let go. The night remains patient. It does not rush toward morning. Time has folded itself away. If a bell rang somewhere far off, it would pass unnoticed. If dawn lifted the sky an inch, it would do so alone. Nothing calls you back yet. The stillness stays complete, uninterrupted, and kind. And it continues. Softly. Endlessly. Without change. Holding everything exactly where it belongs. The stillness does not thin. It does not fade. It simply remains. There is no sense of waiting anymore. No expectation of what comes next. Breath moves, but it is distant now. Like something happening in another room. The body has forgotten its weight. Forgotten where it ends. In the medieval night, this was the safest hour. No work demanded attention. No bells called anyone to prayer or labor. Even the world itself seemed to rest its bones. Thought has fully loosened its grip. There is nothing left to interpret. Darkness is not noticed. Light is not missed. The mind no longer forms images. No dreams yet. No stories. Just depth. A deep, quiet depth where nothing needs to be named. Muscles soften further, though you cannot feel it happen. The face smooths. The jaw releases. The smallest tensions dissolve without announcement. Time does not stretch. It disappears. Centuries could pass here and it would feel the same. The night continues its gentle work. Mending small fractures. Smoothing rough edges. Balancing what was uneven. Nothing interrupts. Nothing intrudes. Sleep holds steady, unbroken and complete. And it will remain this way. Calm. Dark. Undisturbed. For as long as it needs to. There is nowhere else to go. There is nothing else to do. Rest continues. The rest settles even deeper. There is no awareness of settling. It happens without notice. The body no longer checks itself. No signals. No adjustments. Breath is now only rhythm. Soft and automatic. Like a memory the body never forgets. In medieval homes, this was when even worry slept. When hunger paused. When pain loosened its grip just enough to allow rest. No thoughts returned to test the quiet. The stillness has no texture now. No depth to measure. No surface to touch. Sleep is not arriving. It has already arrived. The night does not watch. It does not judge. It simply holds. Time has no direction here. No forward. No back. If dreams come later, they will come gently. Without urgency. Without meaning that needs solving. For now, there is only this steady absence of effort. Nothing needs fixing. Nothing needs remembering. The body continues its quiet work. Repairing what wore thin. Softening what tightened. Restoring balance without instruction. No sound reaches in. No thought reaches out. Everything remains exactly as it should be. The stillness stays complete. The quiet remains unchanged. There is no edge to it now. No center either. Breathing continues somewhere far away. Steady. Unnoticed. Unmeasured. The body rests without reporting itself. No awareness of limbs. No sense of position. In the medieval dark, this was when the last embers cooled to ash. When even the night air stopped shifting. When nothing asked anything of anyone. Thought does not return. Memory does not stir. There is no difference between before and after. Sleep has settled into its deepest shape. No images form. No voices speak. No dreams gather yet. Only a quiet, weightless absence. Time no longer dissolves. It is gone. Nothing presses in. Nothing pulls away. The night continues its patient work. Slow and unseen. Restoring what the day spent. Nothing changes. And nothing needs to. The stillness holds. Nothing shifts. The quiet does not deepen. Because there is nowhere deeper to go. Breath moves as it always has. Unnoticed. Unclaimed. The body no longer distinguishes between effort and ease. Both have disappeared. In the medieval world, this was the hour untouched by rule or ritual. No prayers scheduled. No bells waiting to ring. Just night, holding itself together. There is no sense of being present. No sense of being absent. Awareness has loosened entirely. Slipping away without resistance. Sleep is complete. No images rise. No words form. No meaning is asked for. Time has no shape here. The night continues. Soft and unchanging. Doing what it has always done. Nothing arrives. Nothing leaves. Everything remains exactly as it is. The stillness holds steady. The stillness remains untouched. There is no awareness of remaining. It simply is. Breath continues somewhere beyond notice. Steady and quiet. Like a tide that no longer reaches the shore. The body has fully released its outline. No boundaries. No weight. In the medieval night, this was the hour no one wrote about. Too quiet for chronicles. Too still for memory. Even time chose not to observe it. Nothing rises to the surface. Nothing sinks away. Sleep is no longer felt. It has become the ground itself. There are no dreams yet. No images. No movement. Only a deep, even calm. Muscles rest without instruction. The heart keeps its slow rhythm. Everything knows what to do. Time does not pass here. It does not pause either. The night continues its quiet work. Unseen and effortless. Restoring balance in ways that do not need attention. No sound enters. No thought returns. Nothing changes. Nothing needs to. The stillness holds. The quiet stays exactly as it is. There is no awareness of staying. No awareness of anything at all. Breath moves, slow and faithful. Without needing to be felt. The body rests beyond sensation. Beyond instruction. Beyond thought. Beyond instruction. Beyond thought. In the medieval dark, this was the hour when even the stars seemed still. When villages lay folded into silence. When nothing expected morning yet. No images form. No dreams gather. Sleep has no shape here. No beginning. No edge. The night does not advance. It does not retreat. It simply holds. Time has completely let go of itself. Nothing presses against the mind. Nothing pulls it forward. Everything that could soften has softened. Everything that could quiet has quieted. The stillness remains steady and complete. And rest continues. Unchanged. Undisturbed. Unending for now. The calm does not shift. There is no sense of duration anymore. No sense of place. Breath continues as a distant rhythm. Steady. Automatic. Unnoticed. The body rests without awareness of resting. Without memory of effort. In the medieval night, this was when even guards leaned into stillness. When animals lay quiet in their stalls. When the world itself seemed to breathe once and then stop trying. Nothing forms in the mind. No questions. No answers. Sleep has become complete absence of strain. No images rise. No sounds intrude. Time is no longer missing. It is irrelevant. The night remains patient. Holding everything gently. Without movement. Nothing needs repair now. Nothing needs easing. The stillness is whole. And rest continues. Soft and constant. Exactly as it should be. The stillness remains effortless. There is no sense of drifting now. No sense of being held. Breath continues on its own. Quiet and unremarkable. As it always has. The body rests without reporting itself. No signals rise. No awareness returns. In the medieval night, this was the hour when even fear slept. When locks stayed closed without thought. When the world trusted darkness to keep watch. Nothing appears in the mind. Nothing dissolves. Sleep is no longer an experience. It is simply the state of things. No dreams gather yet. No images knock at the edge. The quiet does not move. There is no sense of holding on. No sense of letting go. Breath flows on its own. Soft. Even. Unnoticed. The body rests without shape or boundary. No weight. No outline. In the medieval night, this was when the last watch ended not with a signal, but with forgetting. When even the idea of danger grew tired. When nothing needed guarding anymore. No thoughts return to check the silence. No memories rise. Sleep has settled into stillness so complete it no longer feels like sleep. There are no dreams yet. No colors. No movement. Only depth. Even. Unbroken. Time has fully withdrawn. It does not linger nearby. Nothing presses. Nothing pulls. The night continues its quiet tending. Unseen. Patient. Thorough. Everything remains exactly where it should be. The stillness holds. Nothing changes. And because nothing changes, there is no need to notice. Breath drifts in. Breath drifts out. Not counted. Not followed. The body rests beneath awareness. As medieval bodies once did. On straw, on wool, on packed earth. Without naming comfort or discomfort. There is no question of mourning. No anticipation of bells or light. Sleep has no edge here. No beginning. No end. The mind remains quiet. Not emptied. Not full. Simply absent. Silence does not feel large. It does not feel small. It feels complete. Nothing enters. Nothing leaves. Rest deepens without effort. The way night deepens. When no one is watching the sky. And it continues. The stillness remains exactly as it is. No shift. No signal. No turning of thought. Breath continues somewhere far away. Steady. Unconcerned. The body is present. But unnamed. Unmeasured. In the medieval dark, this was the hour when even animals slept deeply. Horses stilled. Dogs curled inward. Birds tucked silence beneath their wings. Nothing listens. Nothing watches. Sleep holds without effort. Without instruction. There is no center now. No edge. Awareness thins until it is no longer separate from rest. The quiet does not deepen. It does not lighten. It simply stays. And staying is enough. Rest continues. Smooth. Unbroken. Unchanged. There is no moment where this becomes something else. No threshold crossed. No layer beneath to reach. Rest exists exactly as it is. Complete. Sufficient. Breath moves without sound. Without importance. The body no longer reports itself. No signals rise. No messages need answering. In the long medieval night, this was when fires burned lowest. When embers held warmth without flame. When smoke forgot to climb. Nothing remembers effort. Nothing rehearses tomorrow. Sleep does not ask permission. It does not explain itself. The mind remains gently absent. As if it stepped aside. And never returned. Time stays away. There is no inside or outside. No before. No after. Only this quiet. Unmoving. Whole. And it continues. The quiet holds its place. Nothing arrives to replace it. Nothing needs to. Breath continues. Soft enough to be ignored. Steady enough to be trusted. The body rests as if it has always rested this way. As if effort was something learned once. And then forgotten. In the medieval dark, this was the hour with no name. Too late to belong to yesterday. Too early to belong to morning. No thoughts gather. No images form. Sleep remains wide and still. Like a lake without wind. There is no awareness of lying down. No awareness of being held. Rest does not deepen. It does not thin. It simply stays complete. Nothing presses forward. Nothing pulls away. The night continues its quiet keeping. Slow. Patient. Uninterrupted. And everything remains at ease. Nothing stirs. The silence keeps its shape. Unchanged. Unquestioned. Breath happens somewhere beyond attention. Like a tide that no longer needs the moon. The body rests without instruction. Bones settle. Soft places soften. In the medieval night, this was when even memory slept. Names loosened. Stories fell quiet. No sensation asks to be noticed. No thought asks to be finished. Sleep remains steady. Wide. Undisturbed. There is no awareness of darkness. No longing for light. The mind stays still. Not empty. Not full. Simply gone quiet. Time does not return. It does not knock. Everything remains where it is. Rest continues. Calm. Even. Unbroken. The night does not deepen. It does not retreat. It holds its position. As it always has. Somewhere, a fire has reduced itself to embers. Not extinguished. Not bright. Only warm enough to remember warmth. Outside, the village does not listen. Roofs remain still. Paths forget footsteps. Animals breathe in slow agreement with the dark. Inside the house, nothing is adjusted. No blanket is pulled tighter. No hand searches for another. The body already knows where it belongs. This was the hour medieval people trusted most. Not because it was safe. But because nothing was expected of it. No bells rang. No prayers were counted. No labor waited. Sleep was not chased. It was allowed. Thoughts did not wander. They stayed folded. Like clothes set aside until morning. Even dreams moved carefully. Quiet visitors. Brief. Unimportant. The night continued without instruction. Without witness. And rest. Patient. Ordinary. Complete. Remained. Nothing announces the passing of hours. There is no marker. No division. The night does not measure itself. It simply persists. Somewhere, a beam cools. A wall releases the warmth it borrowed. Stone forgets the day. Breath continues without rhythm worth naming. In. Out. Not counted. In medieval houses, sleep was not fragile. It did not shatter at small sounds. It did not retreat from creaks or distant movement. The dark was familiar enough to be ignored. A cartwheel might shift in its rut. A bird might adjust its weight. Neither mattered. The body stays heavy. Limbs remain where they last fell. No signal travels far enough to become concern. This was rest without vigilance. Not guarded. Not earned. Time loosens its grip. Moments stop lining up. Before and after lose interest in each other. There is no sense of approaching morning. No hint. No promise. Sleep holds. Wide. Even. And nothing asks for change. The dark does not thin. It does not prepare. It remains settled. Like dust that has finally found its place. Somewhere beyond walls, the land holds its breath. Fields lie uncounted. Roads forget where they lead. Water waits without sound. Inside, the body is no longer a body. It is weight. It is warmth. It is something laid down and left alone. In medieval nights, this was the mercy. Not comfort. Not safety. But permission. No need to remember. No need to be ready. The mind does not wander here. It does not invent. It does not return to old edges. It stays seated. Hands folded. Eyes closed without effort. There are no images. No voices. Only the quiet agreement of being still. Even worry has gone to sleep. Even fear has loosened its hold. Time, unobserved, stops behaving. It does not move forward. It does not move back. It simply ceases to matter. The night continues. Not long. Not short. Just sufficient. And rest remains. As it was meant to be. Unnoticed. Uninterrupted. Complete. Nothing shifts. Nothing arrives. The quiet does not deepen. Because there is nowhere for it to go. The world has finished speaking. Walls keep their distance. The floor supports without effort. The ceiling holds its shadow gently. In medieval homes, this hour was unnamed. It belonged to no prayer. No bell. No task. Sleep was not a state to enter. It was the absence of leaving. The body makes no requests. Hunger waits. Pain pauses. Cold and warmth settle into balance. There is no dream to follow. If one passes through, it leaves no trace. Like breath on cold air. That vanishes before it can be seen. Memory stays closed. Not locked. Simply unneeded. Even the sense of self loosens. Edges blur. Inside and outside forget their difference. Time does not gather itself. It does not prepare a return. Rest continues. Steady. Neutral. Without narrative. And the night, unchanged. Keeps holding everything. Exactly as it is. Stillness does not announce itself. It simply remains present. Nothing presses forward. Nothing pulls away. The dark holds no intention. It does not conceal. It does not reveal. In this hour, medieval nights were not endured. They were passed through without notice. The body no longer distinguishes surface from depth. Bed. Floor. Earth. All feel equally distant. Breath moves like a habit long forgotten. Something learned once. And never reconsidered. No thought completes itself. No question forms fully enough to matter. Everything unfinished is quietly forgiven. Outside, the world keeps its agreements. No wind insists. No sound asks to be named. This was the safest kind of quiet. Not protected. Not guarded. But undisturbed by expectation. Time loosens further. Moments no longer touch. They drift apart. And stop counting themselves. Sleep does not deepen. It does not lift. It stays level. Wide. Unbroken. And rest. Plain. Unremarkable. Sufficient. Continues. Without ever needing to be noticed. Stillness does not announce itself. It simply remains present. Nothing presses forward. Nothing pulls away. The dark holds no intention. It does not conceal. It does not reveal. In this hour, medieval nights were not endured. They were passed through without notice. The body no longer distinguishes surface from depth. Bed. Floor. Earth. All feel equally distant. Breath moves like a habit long forgotten. Something learned once. And never reconsidered. No thought completes itself. No question forms fully enough to matter. Everything unfinished is quietly forgiven. Outside, the world keeps its agreements. No wind insists. No sound asks to be named. This was the safest kind of quiet. Not protected. Not guarded. But undisturbed by expectation. Time loosens further. Moments no longer touch. They drift apart. And stop counting themselves. Sleep does not deepen. It does not lift. It stays level. Wide. Unbroken. And rest. Plain. Unremarkable. Sufficient. Continues. Without ever needing to be noticed. Nothing approaches an ending. Nothing begins again. The night does not turn its head. It does not listen for morning. Somewhere, far beyond attention, the sky holds its color. Not black. Not blue. Only the idea of night remaining in place. In medieval sleep, there was no awareness of hours spent. No sense of having been away. Only the quiet fact of still being here. The body keeps its softness. Joints remain unasked. Muscles forget their names. Even the idea of waking feels distant. Not feared. Not desired. Simply irrelevant. The mind rests without drifting. It does not float. It does not sink. It stays exactly where it has been left. No memory rises to test itself. No future steps forward. Silence continues to hold its shape. Unchanged. Unquestioned. This was the deep usefulness of the medieval night. Not escape. Not dreaming. But suspension. Everything pauses without effort. And rest. Calm. Even. Patient. Remains. Exactly as it is. With nothing asking. For more. Nothing signals return. Nothing withdraws. The quiet remains sufficient. It does not improve. It does not weaken. Somewhere beyond walls and roofs, the land continues to exist. Without observation. Fields hold their shapes. Trees keep their shadows. Inside the night, the body has no edges left to defend. No posture to correct. No balance to keep. In medieval sleep, this was the truest depth. Not heaviness. Not absence. But release from needing to be anything at all. Breath moves on its own permission. Slow. Unclaimed. The heart does not announce itself. It works quietly. As it always has. As it always will. There is no dream worth following. If one passes, it dissolves before it can settle. No images remain. No meanings attach. Time stays away. It does not measure. It does not gather. The night does not hold vigil. It does not guard. It simply allows everything to remain where it has fallen. Rest continues. Unmarked. Unbroken. Unaware of itself. And nothing. Absolutely nothing. Asks for change. There is no edge to this moment. No scene where one state becomes another. The night does not thin into hours. It stays whole. Somewhere, a roof beam cools completely. A stone gives up the last warmth it borrowed. The house settles into itself. Finished for now. In medieval sleep, the body was trusted. Not watched. Not corrected. It knew how to remain. Breath drifts without ownership. The chest rises. Falls. And forgets it has done so. Nothing remembers the day. Nothing prepares the next. Even the idea of a name loosens. Of a place. Of a role. There is no center here. No observer. Only rest continuing. Because it has no reason to stop. The silence keeps its form. Gentle. Unmoving. Time stays absent. Not delayed. Not waiting. And the night. Ordinary. Complete. Unremarkable. Holds everything. Without effort. Without instruction. Without end. Nothing gathers itself. Nothing disperses. The night does not breathe differently. It keeps the same still rhythm. It has always kept. Somewhere, far beyond notice. A candle finishes what it was doing. Smoke thins. Darkness accepts the space without comment. In medieval rest, this was not depth. It was neutrality. A place where nothing needed definition. The body remains where it was left. Not held. Not released. Simply allowed. There is no sense of lying down. No sense of rising. Position has lost importance. Thought does not wander here. It does not circle. It does not return. It stays folded away. Like a tool not required until later. Even time seems unnecessary. There is no before pressing forward. No after waiting its turn. The quiet remains smooth. Unbroken. Without texture. This was the unnoticed center of the medieval night. The part no one described. Because no one was there to notice it. Rest continues. Steady. Undemanding. Complete. And the world remains. Exactly. As it is. There is no movement toward anything else. No shift that needs to be marked. The night stays level. Not deep. Not shallow. Somewhere, the air cools by a fraction. Unnoticed. Unimportant. In medieval sleep, this was the hour that left no trace. No story returned from it. No feeling followed. The body does not check itself. Does not listen inward. Does not ask if it is resting well. It rests because that is what happens. When nothing interferes. Breath continues. Unclaimed. Unremarked. The mind remains quiet without effort. Not empty. Not occupied. Simply paused. There is no dream to remember later. No image sharp enough to stay. Everything passes through. Without stopping. Time does not gather courage. It does not prepare a return. The silence remains intact. Smooth. Even. This was the unnoticed gift of the medieval night. Not escape. Not comfort. But the absence of demand. And rest. Plain. Steady. Sufficient. Continues on. Without needing. To become. Anything more. Nothing changes its mind. Nothing resumes its place. The night does not lean forward. It does not recede. It holds. As it has been holding. Somewhere beyond walls, the sky remains uninterested. Stars keep their distance. Clouds do not arrange themselves into meaning. In medieval sleep, this was the hour without witness. No one counted it. No one claimed it. The body remains settled. Not heavy. Not light. Simply there. Without emphasis. Breath continues like a background fact. Present. Unnoticed. There is no thought waiting to be finished. No emotion waiting its turn. Everything that could speak has already gone quiet. Even silence stops feeling like silence. It becomes the ordinary condition of things. Time does not return cautiously. It does not test the surface. It stays away entirely. Nothing prepares the world. Nothing rehearses morning. Rest continues. Broad. Level. Undisturbed. Not as an event. Not as a state. But as the simple absence of interruption. And the night remains. Doing nothing at all. And doing it perfectly. There is no cue to follow. No signal that anything should be different. The night does not gather itself for release. It does not anticipate change. Somewhere, the ground cools evenly. Not enough to matter. Not enough to be felt. In medieval rest, this was the hour that belonged to no one. Not to the sleeper. Not to the world outside. The body remains quiet in its agreement with stillness. No tension waits in the muscles. No ache asks to be noticed. Breath passes like a rumor that never spreads. It happens. And leaves no evidence behind. The mind does not search. It does not review. It does not drift. It simply stays where it was set down. There is no awareness of lying still. No awareness of time passing. Only the absence of disturbance. Even the idea of night fades. Not replaced by morning. Just no longer required. This was the middle that never became a memory. The stretch that returned nothing. Rest continues. Unmeasured. Unclaimed.